Your either be your best friend or your enemy.
Really?
It's true.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mind can be my enemy.
Can be.
You
It can be your best friend
know,
because thoughts are more than just thoughts. That's what I say.
thoughts are more than
Because
just
they
thoughts.
are what guide us through life.
So how do you? I mean, if your thoughts can be your best friend, your energy. Good morning, guys. I'm Greg.
I am Jenny.
And you are Jenny, my wonderful wife. And today we're coming to you from Achieving Your Goals at Breakneck Speed with another episode of God, Finances, and Intimacy. So, hey, today one of the topics as we've started this week off, we're already Wednesday. Things are really cruising through. And boy, last week we had a good message. That was kind of a cool deal. And
that was what was the topic again?
Last week, all of our topics are just becoming better people and then just learning how you're doing. But
how to become a best version of yourself.
Yeah, becoming a better version. So
right now we have to talk about what we think we become.
That one, as I've been talking with a lot of people, just in our businesses and in our life, our circle of friends, even at church, people, the version of what they believe about themselves is really what they struggle with. And the topic we have today is what we think about, we become. And thinking about that, what are you really thinking about throughout the day? The amount of thoughts that people have all day. Most people don't even act on generally all the thoughts they have. I mean, we have thousands of thoughts that we have all day, and very few of those are ever even acted upon. I mean, think about that. Your brain is always working. And one of the things that I always ask myself every morning is, if my thoughts manifested instantly, how would they affect my life? And am I controlling my thoughts? And that's really the biggest thing. So,
first thing in the morning when you wake up, if you think that, you feel like, if you say to yourself that, oh, I'm so tired today, so you're gonna end up tired all day too if you start thinking that way. So start thinking positive first thing in the morning.
It is, Jenny and I were talking about that this morning, and the focus of our our episodes here, soon to be podcasts as we get that start to launch, is to focus on family, marriages, abundance, bringing you closer to God. And as we look at that with, relationship with your spouse and with your queen, relationship, with yourself and, friends around you, we've watched marriages and relationships go both directions, and we watch them destroy themselves because of what they're thinking and what they think they become. So if they're thinking, that their spouse is a bad person, or if they're thinking themselves is a bad person, they're complaining all the time, they're finding fault, they're not happy with their surroundings, they start to become their thoughts. And that really, that whole thing that we see couples with, that's why we do what we do. And some of the stuff you can understand is, I'm not gonna hide it. We have some great notes that we're gonna read over here, because there's so many great thoughts I have that Jenny's put together here. And we've got, your mind is a powerful tool. Have you ever thought of your mind as a tool?
Because your mind, it could be either be your best friend or your enemy.
Really?
It's true.
So, so my mind can be my enemy?
It can be your best friend. Because thoughts are more than just thoughts. That's what I say.
Thoughts are more than
because
just thoughts.
They are what guide us through life.
So how do you? I mean, if your thoughts can be your best friend, your energy, what are some of the things that that I know, like through our journey? With us, our mind has literally been our best friend, or it's been our enemy. And as we've gone through our marriage now, I mean, we're not perfect.
No.
This is
we're still learning.
This is openly, we'll tell you, this is our third marriage. We didn't learn in the very beginning how to about how to love ourselves. We didn't learn how to love our relationship.
That's been my struggle in the past.
And even though we both come from a strong spiritual foundation, I don't think really either of us had that relationship with God that we needed to understand who we wanted to marry and how to do that. So we, knowing that our mind is our best friend or our enemy, we truly understand what that means and how to make it our best friend. So, I mean, just over the course of our life, the times that we had some financial struggles going on, and some life struggles going on, some marital struggles going on, finances, surroundings, just an environment.
Number one problem we had in the past was finance because of the car accident.
Finances caused a lot. Yep, and we weren't preparing our minds properly, and when we got into there's some things we had in our life where one of our kids had a car accident. And, owning my own company at the time with, selling insurance and annuities and different life insurance products and having a small income on the side, staying home and trying to balance all that, our income was really affected. And we let that really affect ourselves. And our mind started to go down a road of darkness into a dark tunnel that said, hey, Greg and Jenny, you're going to be broke. You're not going to be able to create an income. You're not going to do this. And we started believing that. And we put ourselves further into debt and into financial struggle. And then we started depending on all these other things that are out there. You see folks that, you think they're good things out there, but they drag you down. Hey, there's this help over here. There's this free help over here. They get those $1,600 COVID checks. And, those things didn't go very far at all. We started looking at that after we were all done and saying, you know what? We're going to start telling ourselves what we think of ourselves.
So give them some tips how to gain control of yourselves.
The biggest thing is during that, we started to recognize first what was happening around us. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. That's the first tip, is to first recognize where you are and then, and what's happening. And don't be afraid to look at that situation. So many folks
you have to look at the situation.
Well, and that's where folks struggle.
Because that's how you can fix your negative things.
It is.
In your life.
Well, and that's where a lot of folks struggle, where they don't want to recognize.
They're trying to ignore the problem. It's not going away.
No,
you won't be able to fix it.
Well, we were afraid at that time. I mean, I understand. We weren't going to bed recognizing anything positive that had happened that day. Mm-hmm. We were recognizing how horrible our day was.
So that's the number one tips is to just focus on positive things.
Well, and after you recognize where you are, then you want to understand, what do you want? What do you want to do? So
you have to be very clear of your goals.
Yep. I mean, do you want to get out of financial concern? Do you want to get out of emotional concern? Do you want to get closer to God? All those things that once you figure out what you want, first you figure out this is where I'm at and make a list, write it down. And it may be an ugly list. It may not be nice, but recognize where you are so then you can change where you want to go. I did a video the other day on this topic. I'm not even realizing it is what we think we become. And so many people out there's different versions of this. People will say, hey, you should figure out who you're not. Okay, figure out who you're not. Then people will say, well, let's figure out who you are. Okay, figure out who you are. But really, none of those two matter. The most important thing is who you want to become. That's what you want. Don't confuse yourself. In as much as their value, okay, I don't want to be this person.
You don't want to be the specific person, but just imitate the tools that they're using. And you don't have to be exactly like that person. No. Just follow what they're using. Just find out what are they using. To get there. Well, and
tools. Jenny says a real specific thing. There's I'm a part of a mastermind, a small mastermind group, and one of my friends, coaches, he's become a friend, a coach, a partner with me. Yeah. And he said, Greg, one of the biggest things that Dexter Yeager told me a long time ago, and I remember sitting with Dexter Yeager, he said, in as much as Dexter Yeager made millions of dollars and built the largest sales team across the world, he said, I never wanted to be Dexter. Dexter told me, hey, Greg, you don't want to be me. You don't want to be Dexter Yeager. What you want to do is you want to learn what he knows, mm-hmm. so you can do those things. So when you find someone that, now you recognize where you are and then recognize what you want to do, you want to find how to change your thinking. So what we think we become. If you were thinking things that were wrong or bad or dark and you're in that dark tunnel, you're going to need a group or someone to get you out of that. So find someone or a group of people that you want to think like. You don't want to become them. And I remember thinking that, that I did. I was part of a large sales team. I had sales, sales team in Asia and over in Mexico and the United States. And I was following a group of people that I literally was becoming them. They didn't want me to, but along the way, I realized I wasn't truly happy because I was becoming them. And
isn't you.
And I wasn't becoming me. And that's not what they wanted. They kept telling me, Greg, you want to become you. You can duplicate how we think. So what we think, we become. So if your life is in a bad area right now, if you're waking up every morning and you're recognizing negative, change that.
Change it.
But understand that you can't run this journey alone. So find a group of people or a mentor or a coach, a different circle. Now, I'm going to be very straightforward here. I'm going to be just harsh. Generally, you're going to have to get away from the group of friends that you're with. If you are stuck in a circle and you're not happy with any part of your life, your marriage, your job, your career, your finances, your faith,
that means you're hanging around with the wrong people.
You're hanging around with the wrong
friends.
people. Yeah. And it's not that you're going to, hey, I'm better than these people, or hey, I'm just never going to
you
talk
just
to them
want to
again.
grow more. You just
You want to get around a different
Reach your
circle of
bigger
people, and that's going to require you to make some choices. And if you can't make those choices, if you're going to say, well, I don't want to hurt my friends' feelings, because what's going to happen is they're going to go, well, because it happened to us. Hey, Greg and Jenny, how come you're not at these places anymore? You used to come over here all the time. Hey, you're not at the barbecues.
Just be honest with them.
You just say, listen, we're making some changes in our life.
That's all you have to say.
And there's a friend of mine that
we're focusing on something. It doesn't mean that you don't have to talk to that person. It's still your friend, but don't hang out with him very often.
You want to get away from those influences.
Yes.
And there's
you can say hi, it's fine.
But there's a friend of mine that has a voicemail that I listen to, and it's really it's pretty strong. He decided that he wanted to make some changes in his life, and he wanted to get around a different group of people. He wanted to get away from drama, darkness, all that stuff. So when I call his phone, if he doesn't answer, his voicemail says, hey, if I don't answer the phone and I don't give you a call, it's because I'm making some changes in my life, and you may be one of those changes. Have a great day.
Those are good words to say.
And it's interesting because I texted him when I first heard that, and I said, hey, brother, am I one of those changes? And he called me and kind of laughed. But I understood that he wasn't afraid to tell people that, hey, you may be one of those changes that I'm not talking to anymore. You're going to have to make some choices. If you want to improve your life, you're going to have to make some choices. So you're going to have to get a different environment, change the group of people you're with, change the places you go to. You may even have to change your clothes,
change the way
you look, change the way you talk. Those things are going to happen if you truly want a life of abundance, and you've figured out where you are and you figure out what you want. Now the third one is you got to figure out where you want to go. So if people simply say, well, I just want a better life. Okay, great. What does that look like? Now where do you want to go? Now,
you really need to know all of them.
Well, and Jenny's got some great things up here.
There's another one. You have to change your perspective.
Oh, yeah. There's a good one. Yeah. So what does that mean?
Talk about that. You share.
So change your perspective. That in the process, and again, trust in the process. Yeah. I was at this weekend. I was at a social event, and I was talking with a group of people, and my wife picks on me because I'm a troublemaker. I bring out knowledge, and I was in a class, and they were talking about a particular topic, and I said, the biggest thing that you have to do is trust the process. And a lot of people didn't understand what that meant. There's a process on what Jenny's talking about, and changing your perspective. You've gone through a process of growing up, being told what things are, and your perspective on looking at one particular thing may look a certain way to you. I may look at the wall and see that it's that it's kind of a darker grayish blue. Jenny may look at the wall and see the mirrors and the curtains. We're both looking at the same thing, but our perspective is different. Mm-hmm. So as you start understanding that where your perspective is, you write that down and you see it and you go, wow. Because really, when you write it down, there's magic in that. It's not only spiritually proven, but psychologically proven and physically proven that when you write something down, there's something that connects in your brain, and it opens your mind up to understand that this needs to happen or this needs to change. And when you write down all these things, how you perceive things.
Yeah, the mind is everything. What you think is you become.
It is. And if you are looking at that, man, I perceived that wall darker grayish blue, and I've never seen the mirror and the curtains. But that's more important than the wall, maybe. So change your perspective on how you're looking at stuff. If you've been looking at stuff that, I work at a particular job and I only make $30,000 a year, and my family's never made more than $30,000 a year. My grandparents have never made more than $30,000 a year. I'm never going to make more than $30,000 a year. That's a horrible perspective. But that really is. You need to look more at yourself and say, listen, doesn't matter
just like self-talk,
what all of those people did.
Like criticizing yourself. That's one of them.
Well, talking yourself down is that. So the perspective that I see, folks that have looked at, and even us throughout the course of life, how we looked at things and how we perceived things limited our growth pattern on how we were moving forward. And it's really that simple. It's not a hard process, but it's a persistent process. So
it is.
Start to look at things differently and to look at stuff
looking on the bright side. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and you want to put yourself in a different environment. That's what we think we become. So where we are, the area that we put ourselves in, the environment we put ourselves in, is what we start to think, and then we start to believe that. Changing your perspective is
letting negative thoughts consume your mind, and feeling stress can be tough to handle. So it's important to instantly change your perspective in order to be more positive and happier.
Well, and the biggest thing with all this is,
So we can instantly change right there.
well,
But you really need to choose to do it. Like you really want to do it.
It's a process.
Yes.
That you can instantly decide that I want to make a decision.
Yeah.
And I want to, what I'm thinking right now is what I become. So if I'm thinking today that I'm a millionaire, and I'm going to manifest that, and the universe is going to say, however you want to recognize that, whether it's God, Mother Earth, or the universe, it's all the same thing. The perspectives may be a little different, but you can manifest those things in your life. I mean, I understand that every morning I tell myself
self-discipline
that I know we're manifesting various forms of income, and we're manifesting a specific income every month. And we know, even though if I'm not seeing that in my hand, I'm seeing it in my mind, because it's going to move from my mind to my hand. There's so many books that talk about that. There's so many coaches that talk about that. There's so many videos that talk about that. There's no hidden secret on any of that stuff. It's not a hidden secret by any means.
Yeah, if we believe that we can be successful more often than not, we will be successful.
It is. And what are some of the points that you have up in your self-talk? That's probably self-talk is probably the worst and best thing on what we think is what we become.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations are you having with yourself?
Just like, oh, I'm not good at that. I can't do it. Those words, I can't do it, or I'm afraid. Those are limiting beliefs too.
Well, those are words that really should be taken out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, I'm not good enough, or
all of
I'm not that beautiful to be a model or something.
Well, and if you're around people that are telling you that, remember, I told you that you need to get away from those people. Get away from those people. If that group of people is telling you, that you can't do these things, or that you're not that person, or you're not going to be able to do that, or you're just like us. I remember watching the movie Rudy. And it's a football movie. Everyone probably knows who that is. And there was a scene in there where he had finally made the decision he was going to go to college. His friend had just been killed. He was sitting at a bench waiting for the bus stop. His dad walks up and was sitting with him and said, "You know what, Rudy, it's okay. Nobody in our family nobody in our family goes to college. We're all factory workers. We all worked in the coal mine. That's what Rudiger's doing. It's okay to be a Rudiger. You can have a darn good life just working in a factory. Stop dreaming. If you have a dream, it's gonna, when you don't get it, it just tears you down." And that conversation in there triggered me as I watched. And I've actually met Rudy, the actual gentleman that was in the movie. I met him years ago at a conference on stage. Fantastic guy. And he talked about his life and how people didn't believe he was going to get there. But he put himself in an environment. And eventually, this is kind of what happens. He put himself in such an environment. He took it out. Now, you don't have to wait for a tragedy to happen to put yourself in a better environment. A lot of people do. They wait for a tragedy to happen to make big changes in their life.
Because they're afraid to change.
They're afraid. There's tragedies we had tragedies happen in our lives. One day I'll finish the book and, you'll hear our story on stage one day, but I've had many people keep asking us to go share our story. And, a few people keep telling us, Greg, any mere mortal would have just curled up and balled up with what you guys have been through. So that's why we're here doing this as well, because we're not here sharing things because we just think we know. We've already been through these things. We've successfully made it through some major tragedies in our life. And we started recognizing they were tragedies. We started recognizing that if we kept doing what we were doing, that nothing was going to change. And the biggest thing we needed to change was our perspective. We had to recognize what was going on. We had to find out what we wanted, and then we had to identify where we were going to go. How, and then find out, how do you want to get there? Take a plan on how are you going to get there, and then who's going to help you get there to execute all of that. See, this is that problem that folks have on what we think. Do we think we can run these life alone if we're going to make all these tremendous big changes?
Now we can't control what the world gives us, but we can control on how we do things.
We can. You can control the things you can control, and just deal with the things that you can't control, and just move through them. I can't control when it's going to rain, but I have windshield wipers that when I'm going down the road, I just move it aside.
You become what you focus on.
Yeah, you do. And that's really big. Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, and you do. And you control you, and that's when your power is. We're powerful.
You are very powerful. But all of this, what we think, what we become. I'm looking at the time because I just don't want to rattle on.
So what are the tips that can help?
Some of the biggest tips that you can help. What we think we become.
It's meditation.
Well, to meditate, that's important. That's something that a lot of people. It's a scriptural basis. Here's what I can tell you.
It's a great way to get in the habit of accepting.
Well, unwanted thoughts.
Well, it is, and to understand that
when we pray, we're talking to God. When we meditate, we're listening. There's a difference that people miss that. And when you meditate, what we think we become. When you start to meditate in the mornings, I get up in the morning and meditate. I need to get up earlier and do that. That way you can spend at least 30 minutes meditating every day. And here's the key. And you don't have to do this. Success isn't required.
But it's not going to happen. Guys, don't give up. Meditation, it doesn't happen overnight, like one time. You have to really do it every day. It's a daily thing.
Well, the biggest thing, meditation is something you really want to do. But you know what?
It helped me and it helped me.
It does. I mean, and like I said, I'm pretty straight with people as I've been talking to a lot of people that are well past financially successful than me. They're well past spiritually successful. But as I get to know them and I sit with these people, guys, I've had some very...
it helps control your mind.
Well, I've had some very well-known business coaches throughout my life. And I went to them thinking that I wanted to become that there was going to be some magic. And all of them said, Greg, you're not coming for me to rescue you. So when you're in that process of what we think we become, don't think that you need anyone to rescue you. Because I figured out that all these people, even my business coach now, my partner, my friend, my mentor, he'll even tell you we're not too much different. And he sees greatness in me. The only thing difference between me and him is he made the decision every day to do things to create a lifestyle, and I didn't. That's the only difference. Our heart, our drive.
You just need to make a decision, guys.
That's all it is. So
you just really need to make a decision.
Well, and
that's it. That's what we did.
What we think we become. There's some key things that successful people have done to become successful, and to get along the way to change their thinking. Meditation is something that's real important.
Control your mind.
Daily reading. It is true. Leaders are readers. I was talking to, again, my partner here, and we were talking about coaching and mentorship. And, guys, there's a lot of programs out there. And, in as much as Jenny and I are starting coaching programs, and people want to invest to spend some time and learn what we're teaching and different things like that, there's also value in reading. And, before I had the money that I could take away from my family and invest into coaching, I was reminded again that leaders are readers. And there's so many books out there that if you're struggling in life, and if you need a topic or something, feel free to shoot us a message. If you're struggling in a certain topic,
we can tell you what books to read.
I used to just, I'd find if I was struggling with something in life, if I could find the topic, I'd read. If not, I'd reach out to a partner of mine and say, listen, I'm struggling here. What book? And he'd send me a book. I really didn't have a coach for a long time either.
You have to reach out.
I just learned to read.
To ask, ask help. But it's okay to ask help.
Well, and if you're not reading right now, you need to start. Because leaders are readers, and as much as everybody's heard that, but if you're not reading at least a book a month, you're not going to get the growth in life that you need. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do it by yourself. You can try, you can beat your head against the wall, and you can get there, but it's going to fall. Once you get, one book a month done, go to 2, go to 3, but you need to at least read 12 books a year, 1 book a month. Don't take the time off. And if someone says, well, gosh, how is that going to change my thinking? Really? That's a crazy question. Because what you're reading is going to go into your mind, and you're going to start thinking. And what you think, you become. You're going to start learning from some of those successful people.
You become what you focus on.
Yeah, and that in itself, you're going to start changing your brain, your thinking, your spirit, how you believe. You're going to start treating your wife better. Husbands, you're going to start being a better father to your children. You're going to start being a better person at work if you have a job. You're going to start being better at church. You're going to just, as you leave the pavement, when you wake up in the morning, you're going to start looking and seeing greatness in everybody instead of picking on and seeing problems with the world. Jenny and I, wake up in the morning, leave the house. We don't see really too many problems in the world. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're still growing, but I see more greatness in everybody than what I see any of the problems. Now, a lot of people like to spend time watching the news. Not a good idea. That's not feeding any positive, because that's all you're going to see when you go out. You're going to see all those things. So you are reading if you're watching TV. You're just doing it through a virtual. Like you can get the books on tape. So people read all day. If they say, well, Greg, I don't read. Sure,
what we do is we read and then we listen to motivational videos every day. First thing in the morning, I do is meditate and then listen to motivational videos.
Well, and those things are going to teach you how to control your mind.
Yeah.
You can control your mind.
One of them is meditation.
It is.
It really helped me control my mind. Yeah.
Some people say, well, I don't have
more patience.
Well, yeah, some people say I don't have control over my thoughts. Well, yeah, that's your fault. That's your fault. You.
Try meditation. I urge you guys. It does help. It's not going to happen overnight, but keep doing it every day, daily, as one of your routine every day.
Well, and we could go on and talk about this.
Yeah, but it's time to go.
Really, the biggest thing is we Now I'm going to look at some notes over here because I don't want to miss anything.
We talked about it.
What we think we become. So what is it, what you want to do hopefully during this, you picked up a paper, you picked up a pencil, you've written some things down. If you haven't, I think Jenny's going to post it and you can rewatch it later. But what we think of we become. First of all, stop the process of figuring out who you don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Stop figuring out who you are. Focus on one thing. Who do you want to become? Because the other two don't matter. And I'm going to give you a suggestion. I want you to look 10 years down the road. Who are you in 10 years? Find the person that you really want to be in 10 years. Financial success, money past anything you've ever had, the lifestyle of physical items, that's okay. For anybody, that's faith-based, and Jenny and I are solid Christians, money is not a bad thing. Money doesn't do anything wrong. Money doesn't buy happiness eternally, but it does on the earth. Money doesn't buy sadness either. People forget that part. So if people say, well, Greg, money doesn't buy happiness, that's an eternal topic. Don't confuse it. Now,
it makes me happy if I'm able to send donation to build churches in the Philippines.
That's the confusion.
That's exactly what we're doing right now.
Yep.
When you see those kids' faces when they receive those new
oh my goodness, they got shoes. You think those kids
priceless.
were happy? Yeah.
It's priceless.
So understand that, and that came to me real quick. Understand the difference. Eternally in heaven, Mother Earth, however you want to recognize that, the universe, it doesn't buy you happiness in heaven or in the afterlife, but it does while you're here on the earth. Okay, it creates options. So don't go to a facility or a place or a religion or a church and get convinced that money doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't buy eternal happiness after you've passed on from this life. After you've left your shell and gone to heaven, it didn't buy happiness. But you know what though? The acts of kindness that you did when you get to the end, when you say, I'm standing in front of Heavenly Father, and He says, well done, good and faithful servant. The acts of kindness I could have done only came from a larger amount of money that I could have helped people with. And if you have the ability to go out and create wealth and you're not doing it, shame on you. If you're in that belief that you believe that money doesn't buy happiness, shame on you. It doesn't buy eternal happiness. It doesn't. There's a line there. But the things that you can do with it while you're here. Do you want your kids to drive nice cars? Do you want to pay for the kids' college? Or if they don't go to college, I'm a firm believer that education is the most important thing. Does they have to come through college? No. Do you want to be able to pay for your kids' education? Whether it's trade school or buying them a business or getting them a nice job? Do you want to pay for all that? Do you want to have a nice house? Do we want to be able to just jump in a plane and fly to the Philippines and visit Jenny's family? Well, if we didn't have money, we couldn't do that. Do we want to be able to just send our kids on vacations? Do we want to be able to pay for our parents' lifestyles? All that stuff requires money. So what we think about it and we become conscious to and understand, that's the key. So we're going to wrap it up.
Remember, control your mind.
Control
your life.
Yeah, make some changes. My desire for you guys is that you learn to think good about yourself, that you think successful things about yourself, that you only see abundance in your life, that you're good enough, and that you are wealth, and that you are abundance, and that you are joy. You are those things. You're not just saying those things. And as we move forward today, my desire is to see you guys be successful in your marriages. That's really why we do what we do. I love my queen. I do. We've had some challenges and we're through it. And we're so excited, and we want to take that knowledge and bring it to you. So
if you guys see us like this in social media, we are like this at home. So we're not we're not showing off like we're happy, but at home it's not though.
Well, if you see us, and and I'm going to make an invitation, you guys. We are happy. We are happy. We are.
Feel blessed.
We're starting a mastermind group.
And you guys are blessed too.
There is going to be a small investment into the mastermind group. There'll be a time period where you can get in for a short time, and there's going to be no cost. You can get in. You can kind of test the waters and see what it's like. And then beyond that, Jenny and I can talk with you about creating some value in there, and we'll see where that goes. There could be business opportunities that we can introduce you to.
This is my coach right here.
There could be just personal coaching that we get into. There could just be some life hacks that we want to teach you. But either way, investing into yourself is a good thing. And Jenny and I aren't walking around looking for troubled people to build a coaching business. Hey, let's go around and look for people that are struggling and have them pay us a bunch of money. That's not what we're looking for. We're going to let God lead us as we walk this path, and folks that are drawn to us. That's really what it is, light and love. What we think we become, we're light, we're love, we're abundance, we're happiness, we're joy. We're just excited. So, hey guys, with that, achieving your goals at breakneck speed is something we do, we've done, and we continue to do. Have a great day.